Okay, I just muted everybody. Today's class, well, first a little bit of Zoom housekeeping. Zoom on May 30th is going to require everybody to have upgraded, just updated their Zoom to version 5.0. Maybe you've already done that. If you haven't on that date, you may be a little bit postponed getting in because they're going to force an update to your Zoom. And that means going through with a whole install. It doesn't take very long, but it may make you a couple minutes late. And that is for everybody worldwide, so you are not alone. Also, my Ashtanga class tomorrow is going to come faster than I realize, but it's at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'm still working some bugs out of the link. I know for a fact I can get you on the link that you're currently using, so that's just an issue that I have to deal with. The next thing, today's class is being focused on recovery or stretching after a long walk or after an intense hike. There were 5 of us, including Don and Gloria yesterday, and T, who did a 9¼ mile hike. And it seemed like it was maybe an extra couple miles long because the horses had dug up. So we were walking through pure white sand. And if you've ever walked on the beach, you know how tough that is. But anyway, we survived. But a lot of what you're going to be doing today is what I did yesterday. And although after a class, or after a hike or after a walk, it's to stretch your muscles that are already being warm. That only requires about 20 seconds of a stretch. And if you were to hold that for 3 minutes, and if you think you're going to get a lot extra out of that, you're not. It would be much better to do a 20-second stretch on one leg and then do the other side, and then go back to the first side again for another 20 seconds. And you can almost double the amount of active stretch you get by doing it in 3 20-second sections. Whereas if you were to do it all at once, you're going to get only about 115%. So anyway, you're going to work on your calves, both the upper part, your gastrocnemius, and your lower part, which is your soleus muscles. You're going to work on your thighs, both your quads and your hamstrings. You're going to work on your hips, including your hip flexors and your glutes, your core, and then what else? Oh, your feet, both the tops, the bottoms, and the middle of your feet. So I have one other thing I want to show you. We're going to end up in Shavasana that will be a psoas release. And I showed this before, and I'll show it now. But if you have 2 blocks, you can put 2 blocks together, get a towel or a blanket, place it over the top, and then when you're in Shavasana, locate your knees just above that, and then you lay back. And what this does, your psoas muscles are in the least bit of tension that they can ever get. And that is really relaxing because your psoas is pretty close to your sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves as they run down through your pelvis. And sometimes just with having a lot of stress in your life, it affects your psoas and you get tension there. And that's what may give you a little bit of a pain in the lower back. If you have a bolster like this came right off of my bed. This is absolutely ideal, nice and soft. It definitely is not a foam roller, and it works just as well as the blocks in a blanket or a towel. But you never have to worry about reassembling. So to start, I'd like to have you get up and walk over to a wall. And right after you do a hike or a long walk, you need to stretch your gastrocnemius muscle. That's this big muscle right at the top of your calf. And so what you want to do is reach out towards the wall, bend your left knee, and then have your right leg straight. And with your right leg straight, push down your heel towards the floor or towards the concrete, wherever you happen to be. You can vary this a little bit. Straightening your leg certainly helps. To get on the inside portion, you can rotate your foot out a little bit. To get on the outside, you can rotate your foot the opposite way. And after about 20 seconds, pause. Step your left foot back, your right foot forward, and do the same thing. And see if you can feel that nice stretch right up here in the top part of your calf. This is not one where you want to try to bend over and feel what's going on. But after a walk, that really helps. And so when you're done with that, come back over to your mat. And we're going to start in hero position. We did this just a little bit ago, a week or so. But for this pose, you want to have your knees fairly close together. They don't have to be, jammed together. And you want to set your sit bones back or your glutes back on top of your heels. So your toes are flat on the mat. Your toenails are there. And then straighten up your spine. Take the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. And then, building on what you did a couple of days ago, trying to create a ritual or a procedure to help you begin to relax into this initial meditation. Allow your eyes to close. Inhale your shoulders up. Roll them to the back. And then just let your shoulder blades dribble down your back. Your hands can be anywhere that's comfortable for you. They can be on your lap, face up, face down. You can bring your forefinger together with your thumb into a mudra. It just depends on you. Take a deep cleansing breath into your nose and sigh it out through your mouth. Take another deep cleansing breath into your nose. Let it all out through your mouth. And just let the stress in your body drain down into your mat. And notice your breath. as you're breathing in, notice, can you tell the temperature of the air? Likewise, when you breathe out, is it any different? Use this time to practice breathing into different parts of your lungs. Maybe you want to just try to breathe straight down towards your pelvis. So your belly will rise as your diaphragm moves some organs aside. And as you exhale, empty from top to bottom. When you come all the way out of breath, squeeze your navel in and up to get rid of that last bit of spent air, and then begin again. Notice if your thighs are softer now than when you started. Maybe your glutes. Begin to deepen your breath and open your eyes and pay particular attention to your ankles as you come forward into table and do a couple of cat-cows. Now your toenails can still be on the mat, or if you want, you can curl your toes under. But with your breath, inhale, your belly comes down, your chest comes forward, your sit bones lift and separate. And then as you exhale, round your spine, tuck your tailbone under, and your chin comes towards your chest. Pause here for a moment. The next pose is dragon with an overstep. So I offered last week or maybe 2 weeks ago using a block underneath your left ankle, your left shin. You can do that if you want. But from here, lift your right foot up and back, step on the back wall, and then on an exhale, bring that right foot up next to your right pinky finger. And this time, walk that foot a little bit towards the center of your mat so that you can get your knee right underneath your armpit or close. Scooch that left knee back. Now, if you're just on the mat, that's fine. And normally in dragon, that knee is directly above your ankle. But in overstep dragon, you want to be farther forward so that as you come forward, your heel will at some point want to raise up off the mat. And that's the target. Because when you can do that, get to that point, and you can use blocks to support your hands if it gets uncomfortable. But as you come forward, you can feel this in your soleus muscle. That's the little muscles down at the base of your ankles, right by your Achilles tendon. And here you're really stretching that out. And you're also stretching out your psoas with the big flexion on the right side, and on the left side you're extending. Make any adjustments that seem right so that you can feel this. That does not mean to go to some place that bothers you. And maybe at some point, you just have to change. And in this dragon pose, I always make modifications because my body wants me to do something different. And it's very demanding. If this is good for you, you can stay here, or you can bring your hands on the inside of that leg. Walk that right foot off to the side of your mat. Bring both hands to the mat, and then just open up that right knee out to the side. Here you're stretching your piriformis muscle that ties the top of your femur to your sacrum. You're stretching your groins. If you want, you can come down onto your elbows. That's not necessary, but it can intensify the pose. Maybe make it a little bit more meaningful for you. If you want to come up onto your left elbow, place your right hand on your right thigh, about the middle, and just hold on, or if you want, and it's not hurting, maybe put a little bit of more pressure on. You might be able to feel that all the way down into your hip socket. Just don't overdo it. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring both hands back to the mat. Straighten your arms. Bring that right knee up. Bring your hips back towards your left knee. And when you can, release your right leg back to meet the left. And from here, you have a couple of different options. You can make circles with your hips, or you can curl your toes under, push your palms into the mat, and lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. And when you're in dog, notice, walk your dog, and then bend your left knee and straighten out that right knee. And try to push your heel towards the floor. Maybe you can tell that this is the same gastrocnemius muscle that you were stretching against the wall to begin with. And then when you're ready, lower your knees down to the floor. We're coming into saddle. So I think we're going to get everybody's most disliked pose today. For saddle, bring your heels just outside your hips. And then you're going to put your left foot forward. So this is going to be a saddle on the right side. You can bring a block or a towel underneath your left butt cheek if this helps. And if it doesn't, don't do the pose. But my body needs my left hip up about 3/4 of an inch. Yours is different, so don't be surprised. but your toenails should be painting your mat. Start off and lift your chest high, the crown of your head up. And then, if you wish, you can bring your elbows behind. Walk your hands back. And when you're in this position, try tucking your tailbone under. And then moving the person behind you. See that movement there. What you're doing is you are moving your sacrum along with your hips, your pelvis. And if you're a little more flexible, you want to come down onto your elbows, all the way down onto your back. If that's within your practice, that would be a good thing. Remember, there's nobody there with you in case you can't get back up. So just be careful with this pose. Feel this stretch across your quads, across your lower abdomen. Your gaze can be up at the ceiling or straight ahead, depending on your neck. And then on your next inhale, come back up. Come over onto your left hip. Release your right leg to the front of the mat. Remove any blocks you might have. Stretch out your legs to the front of your mat. And then come down onto your back. From here, maybe rock your knees from left to right, lifting one hip and then the other off of the floor, all the while pushing your heels away. And then walk your knees up towards your sit bones. Bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Rock a little left to right. And then leaving your knees there, bring your arms out into T and slowly lower your knees to the left, coming into spinal twist. Your gaze is over your right arm, right fingers, if your neck permits. You can get more space by moving your head a little bit. And then from here, maybe you want to stretch your IT band. That's the bit of fascia and tendon that ties your tibia, your lower leg, all the way up into your pelvis. You can stretch that left leg towards the far wall, side wall. Bring that left hand on top to just try to hold it into place. And then just relax. Your right shoulder should be relaxed, coming back down towards the mat. And that's only a direction. Let gravity be the means of transportation. Your hamstring your IT band is almost all collagen. It is one of the toughest parts of your body. It's about 1.5 inches wide and maybe 3/4 of an inch thick. It comes all the way up to right up to the pelvis. So maybe if nobody's watching you, maybe you want to just take your right hand and just feel the top of your pelvis where you can feel this stretch the most. Then maybe follow that IT band down towards your knee and beyond.
Can you feel your side body relaxing? Maybe you can feel the skin over your right ribs just beginning to thin out and dripping down towards the mat. Maybe you can feel the tension on your front body, on your abs. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your knees back to center. Draw them into your chest. Push your pelvis away. See if you can lift your sacrum up off the mat and push towards the front of your mat as you rock a little bit from side to side. Make sure you have a block within reach and lower your feet down next to your sit bones. The next pose is reclining swan. So bring your hands next to your hips, tuck your tailbone under, and lift your hips up towards the ceiling. And this first time, always relish the strength of your muscles as they push your hips up even higher. Drag your heels towards your shoulders and see what it does for your hips, what it does for your core. And then exhale back down. This time, grab your block, use it the flat way, and the next time you inhale and lift your hips up, place the block underneath your sacrum, and then back down gently. From here, lift your right foot up. Try to place it on the ceiling. Just imagine a nice tan-colored footprint on your white paint. And then on an exhale, bend that knee. Bring your right ankle over the top of your left thigh. Coming into reclining pigeon or reclining swan. And then from there, lift your left knee up. Reach your right hand between your legs and make a bind behind your left thigh or maybe in front of your shin. And try to draw that left knee in towards your chest. Keep that right foot flexed. And see if you can feel where that is. You should be feeling this in your glutes. If this is too intense, maybe just move your foot a little bit closer to the top of your thigh, which means taking your right knee farther to the outside. Gives you a little bit more space. If you'd like to intensify this, maybe you just move your foot farther to the left. And see how that feels. And notice if that's in a different place on your pelvis, in your glutes. Wherever you can feel this is good. And if it's in a new place, that's even better. And then settle in here. Your left foot does not have to be flexed. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next exhale, release your legs. Allow your left foot to come to the mat. Bring your right foot back up onto the ceiling. And then as you lower it, bring your heel down towards the front of the room before you bring your right foot to meet the left. Lift your hips up, lower back down. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Maybe make circles with your knees. First one direction, and then the other. And then come all the way over onto your right side. Push the floor away. And come back up into a table. Do a couple of cat-cows here. Always do cat-cows with your own breath. If you get confused at some point, that's okay. And the next time you come to center, pause. From here, look down between your legs to see if you can see your feet. If you can, move your feet outward. Curl your toes under. And then in the start of a toe stretch, maybe you can move your knees back 1/16 of an inch. Walk your hands back, making sure that even your pinky toes are engaged. Maybe having a couple of blocks handy that you can rest a little bit of weight so that you can moderate how much weight is actually going into your toes, because you certainly don't want to overstretch your plantar fascia. This is gaining a little bit of space, a little bit of length in your plantar fascia. And what that will do, that will help prevent any plantar fasciitis. Which is not anything you want to deal with. When you're ready, just walk your hands forward. Bring your toes down on the mat. Maybe pop your toes up and down a little bit. It's a little bit of tapping that will provoke your blood to flow more quickly into your toes. And then pause. Do another cat-cow. And then lift your left foot up and back, stepping on that back wall. You're coming into dragon on the left. And from here, bring your left foot forward, next to your left pinky. You can walk that right knee back an inch or so. And then again, bring your left arm on the outside of your left knee. By doing that, you can bring more weight into that leg, and therefore you can bring more stretch into that soleus muscle at the bottom of that ankle. And then overstep, bringing that knee as far as your toes, maybe just a scooch more, but just be careful. You don't want any pain. Once your heel comes up, that's all you need. That right ankle can be flat on the mat, or it can be elevated. Dean found that elevating his knee gives him a lot more space to get into this pose. So if you haven't tried that, maybe it's a good thing to try. Allow more weight to come into your hips as you drop your hips down towards the mat. Maybe you can soften your left thigh. Again, you're stretching your psoas. You're stretching your flexors. And if this is good for you and you want to stay here, stay here. If you'd like to change the pose up and see what's different, just walk your hands back and bring your knee vertical. Maybe walk that left foot out to the side of the mat. Bring your hands on the inside of that foot. Have your blocks available if you need them. And then just lower that left knee out to the side so that you can inspect the bottom of your foot. You can stay with your arms straight or bend your elbows and come down. And one side of your body is almost positively going to be different than the other. Make sure that your right leg is parallel to the length of your mat and that your toenails are down. You don't want this to be a twist. You want this to be a hip opener. An outer rotation along with elevating your hip, your leg. You do all these poses to give more length to your fascia. Your fascia is made of collagen, same material as your bones. And as you have aged, your fascia has shrunk. And so to restore it to some time earlier, you have to do some sort of practice like yin or tai chi. And that will bring stimulation to your fascia as your muscles soften into the pose. And that stimulation promotes growth of your fascia, giving yourself a little bit more length, creating more flexibility and more mobility. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your knee back to center. Straighten your arms. Walk your hands back until your left leg comes next to your right. into table. And again, you have the same options as on the other side. You can cat-cow, or you can curl your toes under, lifting your hips up and back. And from here, again, bend one knee and then the other. And bending your right knee, straighten out that left and stretch that gastrocnemius. It is the weirdest sounding muscle in the body. And when you're ready, lower your knees. We're about to come back into saddle on the left side. So bring your feet a little bit wider than your hips. Use a block or a towel underneath your right hip. Bring that right foot forward. Just check to make sure that your toenails are pointed down. Inhale. Your spine tall. And then bring your hands behind your hips and lower back. Just however much feels good to you as you stretch your quads. Don't forget to tuck your tailbone under to move your sacrum. Maybe tilt your hips. If you want to come down to your elbows. And then on your next inhale, come back up. Roll onto your right hip. Release your left leg out to the front. Bring your hands behind your hips. Stretch your heels away. Rock your feet one side to the other. Maybe you want to try a little bit of windshield wiping. That's good too. And then notice which is better for you so that the next time you'll be able to get to where you want to be a little bit quicker. Next time you come to center, straighten out your legs, come down onto your elbows, all the way down onto your back. Stretch your heels away, lift your hands up towards the ceiling, beyond your head, and stretch from palms to heels, manicure to pedicure. And then bring your arms back down by your side. Walk your feet up towards your sit bones. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. And gently rock from left to right. And the next time you come to center, pause. Bring your arms out into T. And then slowly lower your knees off to the right. Your gaze can be off your left fingertips if that's appropriate for your neck. And since this is a recovery from walking or running or hiking, maybe you want to stretch that left leg towards the side wall, stretching your IT band on this side. Notice how different this is. You may feel this in a different part of your body. That might be because you were laboring harder on one side than the other. Or maybe it's because of an old injury. But just noticing it and showing empathy. Is what you want to do. Just give in to gravity. Submit to softness. Do a scan on your body right now. Notice if there's any stress. If you have stress in your neck, maybe rock your head a little bit. Soften your jaw. Soften the muscles around your eyes and your temples. Feel the skin on your left side body, right at your ribs, at the highest point. And notice if your skin is thinning out and being dragged down by gravity. If you want to feel your IT band with your left hand, do it now. Notice how high up it connects. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your knees back to center. Give yourself a squeeze. Rock from left to right. And the next time you come to center, pause. Make sure you have a block handy. Coming to reclining swan on this side. So from here, bring your hands next to your hips. Walk your feet up towards your sit bones. Inhale, lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Engage your quads and your soleus, pushing your knees away. And then exhale back down. Grab your block the flat way. On your next inhale, lift your hips up. Tuck your block underneath your sacrum. Settle back down. Maybe wiggle your hips a little bit to make sure that you're firmly on your block with the block with the width of your mat. And from here, raise your left foot up and place it on the ceiling. Really stretch that leg out. Bend your left knee. Bring that left ankle over the top of your right thigh. And then when you're ready, lift that right thigh up, reaching between your legs, and make a bind around the front of your right thigh or shin. And test this for a few moments. See if this is the most meaningful place for you. Maybe you want to be a little more intense. Maybe that means you want to grab in front of your shins. Or maybe move your foot closer to your hip crease and change your bind beyond your left knee. Maybe this is too much, in which case, back up. Don't try to overdo it. But do what's most meaningful for you as you're stretching your glutes on your left side, your piriformis, and your hip flexors. This pose has something for everybody. Remember to keep that left foot flexed. Your right foot can be either straight or flexed. But beware if you have any sensation in your knee at all to back up. Notice how your lower back has softened down towards the mat. Remove your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Maybe rock your head, saying no. When you remove your attention from your muscles, that's when they normally are able to relax the most. Otherwise, they're vigilant, trying to protect you for any possible situation. That's why they're flexed. That's why they have stress in them. And then on your next exhale, release your bind, bring your right foot down to the mat. Release your left foot up to the ceiling, and then pushing that heel away, all the way down towards the front of your mat. Before you get to the floor, bring that heel up to meet the left or the right. Inhale, up, remove your block. Lower your sit bones, and then draw your knees into your chest. Try pushing your sacrum away and rock from left to right. And come all the way over onto your right side. Push the floor away and come up to a seated position. From here,
The next pose is butterfly. So I'm going to suggest that you put a towel or something underneath your hips and bring your soles of your feet together at a comfortable distance apart so that you can grab onto your feet with your hands. During this pose, your knees are going to drop, but bring your thumbs into your sole of your foot, right in the arches, and just rub your foot on the bottom, giving it a nice massage. Go all the way over to the bottom side, the side that's closest to the mat, and come up onto the metatarsals, and then grabbing each toe, maybe grab your big toes with your fingers and stretch and compress each one, and then do that with every toe. You probably don't make out with your feet very often, but this is what they need every now and again, especially when you've been working them as hard as you're working. And then see if you can open up your feet like a book. And again, try to massage around each of the pads of your toes. Spread your toes wide. Maybe you can get your toenails on the mat. Probably not. But from here, lift your head up tall. Inhale, and then walk your hands forward, coming into butterfly. Allow your arms to soften. Allow your spine to round. Your head to fall forward. And breathe into wherever you feel those sensations. You might be feeling this in your groins or in your thighs. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, rise back up. Use two hands to get your knees to come back up. Bring your footprints to the ground. If you're on a block or a towel, carefully remove it. Bring your hands behind your hips, and then slowly windshield wiper your knees from side to side. And see how each successive move improves your movement, how much easier it is as your body brings more synovial fluid, more lubrication, and more space for your muscles and fascia. Next time you come to center, pause. We're going into Shavasana. So find your bolster or your blocks in a towel. Set that up. Seems kind of silly on a 91-degree day that I'm using a blanket, but
it feels great since I'm on top. So from here, get your legs comfortable so that your knees are directly over the top. You can reach your legs out and just let your heels come down, and your toes can fall either way, whatever is best for you. From here, your arms can be by your side. You can walk your shoulder blades underneath your chest if that feels good. Or you can have your arms way out wide. It's whatever works best for you right this minute. Take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose. Let it all out through your mouth. And another deep breath. Let it all out through your mouth. And take rest. Maybe you want to lift your head an inch and tuck your chin. Provide any comfort that your body desires here. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your space. Bring movement to your fingers and to your toes, to your wrists and your ankles. Gently roll your head from left to right. Carefully bend your knees. Move your blocks or your bolster out of the way. And then drawing your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Make circles with your knees on the ceiling. And then the other direction. And then come all the way over onto your right side. Pausing there for a moment. Sealing in what your muscles have learned in this practice today. And then using the strength in your hands, push the floor away, rising up to a seated position. Thank you for sharing your yoga practice with me this afternoon. I really enjoy teaching and seeing that you are dedicating so much effort to the health and maintenance of your own body. Take the kindness and compassion and peace that you practice on your mat home with you and share it with your family and friends and those you may meet behind masks. Namaste. I will unmute you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Clint.
what a lovely class, Clint. Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. It's 9 o'clock.
Thanks, Clint.
Thank
Well,
you
thank
so
you.
much.
Glad you enjoyed the class.
Yes.
See you tomorrow.
Yep, 9 o'clock.
Yes, that's right. That's
Thank
time
9
at
o'clock.
9 o'clock tomorrow. Don't eat a
Here.
full breakfast.
Have the oxygen ready.
Thank you.
Thank you, Clint.
Thank you,
Okay, thank you.
Clint. Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye, Sandy.
See you tomorrow.
Hey,
Good.
Clint, is it the same Zoom site?
Yes, you can sign in exactly the same.
Okay,
Kathy Martucci and I are going to figure that out here in a few minutes.
okay, thank you.
Bye, Clint.
Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
Clint, does Sandy come on from the UK?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, it doesn't cost any more. Okay.
Okay, so you want to end the meeting and then open it up and then what?
Yep.
You want me to just come in using the link, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. See you in a minute.
Okay.